But regarding sobriety, like, I am very concerned that a lot of people
Totally.
are going to relapse during this time. I already know 2 people who have relapsed during this time. And while I think that 12-step meetings on Zoom are really cool, like, oh, wow, that's convenient, I just feel like there's way too many reasons for people to isolate and not see anyone right now. So, you know, and it's so depressing. Like, I get why people would relapse, especially in early sobriety. But luckily, with like 10 years, I don't want to drink anyways, because I know, which was what was drilled into my head at rehab over and over again, that nothing's going to get better by drinking and drugging.
Hello, and welcome to another exclusive interview at Recovery Today Magazine by RecoveryTodayMagazine.com, where first and foremost, we're a magazine of hope. Whether you're considering addiction recovery for yourself, a loved one, maybe you've been sober for a little while or a long, long time, you're going to find all kinds of information and topics on really living a happy, successful, and sober life at Recovery Today. My name is Rob Hanley, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Recovery Today, and as usual, without exception, always really, really cool guests. This guest has actually been with us before, about a year or so ago. I'd like you to meet Courtney Friel, and let me set this up appropriately here. Courtney is, as I said, really, really cool, and we did feature her, I think it was about April or May, or maybe it was June, actually in studio. And who she is been the news anchor for KTLA, the #1 news station in Los Angeles, since 2013. So anybody in the LA area would be very, very familiar with Courtney. She also hosts the nightly successful podcast, Keeping It Friel, Conversations on Recovery. She is a former, what I would call a Fox News bombshell, where she was a national news correspondent, fill-in host for Fox and Friends. She worked there for 6 years. And importantly for our magazine, that she's been sober now for, for 10 years, a decade, for 10 years. And she travels all around talking about recovery. So thanks for taking a minute to jump on, Courtney.
Nice to see you, and we have never met in person still, because remember, you were going to do the interview, and I can't remember what came up, so I talked with Greg instead.
You talked with my brother, Greg. Hopefully he was okay.
Yeah, no, it was a great convo, and I always love talking about sobriety, so it comes naturally, and we can discuss anything.
Good. All right. So I want to get into sobriety. You've got a book, you've got a podcast, and I just think it's cool as hell that, you're actually not like you used to be, but you're actually the anchor now on KTLA. So I love when I go look at your Instagram and I see different stuff and you're interviewing people. I want to get into all that stuff. But as I told you right before I kind of set up the intro, the elephant in the room for me, and I think for everybody, is the freaking coronavirus. And so, I want to get into sobriety, but I want to get, my first question is, what are your thoughts on the coronavirus? I would say probably,
I feel like I have a little different perspective because I'm technically an essential worker, and I'm still going to the TV station on the weekends to anchor, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm out in the field reporting. So I'm so immersed in it, I can't just turn off the TV and not focus on it. I have to know what's going on for my job. And in a way, it's good for me because I like getting out of the house. When I'm not at work, I'm at home, and my fiance is working from home and he's going crazy. So I have that, not too much changed, and I'm super grateful that I still have a job. But every time, we just got news as we're taping this today. My story today was covering what the governor said about when we can get back to work. And
last I heard, he was saying May 15th. So we're recording this today. It's the 14th of April. There'll be a few weeks, obviously, before this is out. But so when is it now? What's the latest?
He said to ask him again in 2 weeks, and it's going to depend on a whole bunch of things. And the part that gave me anxiety, because every time it gets pushed back, I definitely feel like I get anxiety. I haven't had acid reflux in 10 years since I've been sober, but it's coming back to me in the form of acid reflux, the stress. But he said that any big gatherings, like for 4th of July and Memorial Day, like that's not.
4th of July?
No. Like he doesn't see a big gathering happening until August.
Wow, that is so freaking surreal. I don't want to just completely rabbit hole or, rabbit trail down this, but I can't help it. I have such strong feelings about this. Frankly, right now, I'm really pissed off.
No, I think a lot of people are, and I, as a reporter or journalist, have to kind of like stay down the road about it. And I've seen how the media, like, if we all of a sudden started focusing on other things if we started focusing on the people that were recovering, and then we ended up panicking everybody. And I do think maybe there are some politics involved. We're in California, like, I don't want to go there.
Yeah.
I will say that I know so many people now that are questioning, like, am I going to have to close my business? I know so many people that have lost their jobs, and I know 0 people who are sick.
Yeah, I know. One of the things that's weird, and I promise I won't try to get you any, something that because I get the fact that you need to be Switzerland and kind of just report on stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, I find it really bizarre that New York City has a bazillion, and I know the population density, but what is it, LA? I thought had like 600 deaths or something. I don't even know. What is it? I don't even know. You would know.
We're at like 700, almost 700 deaths.
So that's a lot.
We have the most in California.
So that makes sense. I mean, and that's a lot, and every life is precious. I don't mean to just gloss over it. I also wonder, honestly, like how many people would have died from pneumonia anyway, that everybody's like, oh, corona.
Right.
We think they had corona, therefore they had corona. So
yeah, I mean, look, I've like 700 people die every single day in California, and 7,700 people die every single day in the U.S. And like, why aren't we as upset about gun violence, which kills we didn't shut the world down because of that.
Suicides even, yeah, you're right. We didn't shut down.
And poverty is going to cause suicides too. Like poverty causes death, and I don't know. I
hope
this is my like surrendering of it though. Like all I can do is just think this too shall pass. It's not going to be forever. Things will get back to normal, but it seems like it could be until a vaccine happens. And look, I'm supposed to get married in Italy in October, so that's up in the air. Next week is my 40th birthday. Like, I'm not going to have a party. I had to cancel a trip. Like, I think it's helpful knowing everyone's inconvenienced by it. But regarding sobriety, like, I am very concerned that a lot of people are going to relapse during this time. I already know 2 people who have relapsed during this time. And while I think that 12-step meetings on Zoom are really cool, like, oh, wow, that's convenient, I just feel like there's way too many reasons for people to isolate and not see anyone right now. So, and it's so depressing. Like, I get why people would relapse, especially in early sobriety. But luckily, with like 10 years, I don't want to drink anyways, because I know, which was what was drilled into my head at rehab over and over again, that nothing's going to get better by drinking and drugging.
No, it's definitely not. And I'll table the corona. I think I'll table it unless I think of something later. But I think that what needs to happen, what should have happened, what needs to happen is it needs to be like Sweden. I was talking to my wife. We said, if they would have just passed a law that everybody wear a mask or you get a $500 fine or something like that, and we could get back to business. But I know in terms of sobriety, I find it ironic that the liquor stores are open. God bless you. I live in
solid water.
I live in that was not Corona. Yeah. Now, where's your mask? I was thinking our next cover I actually ought to have a mask, as a matter of fact. Maybe it will. So anyhow, I was thinking about this, and like even in California it'd be the same way, but the weed stores are open here too. Like you can go buy your weed, you can go buy your booze, but you can't go to a meeting.
Well, there's a lawsuit that was announced today that churches are now suing the governor because they're like, if someone can get their weed, someone should be allowed to go praise God.
Yeah, and I saw another thing where a guy was like, you can't surf in Malibu, you can surf in Long Beach, but you can't walk across the beach. It's just crazy. I think all this is crazy. So tell everybody your sobriety story. I mean, you have this awesome bio. It's really cool. But tell us a little bit more, kind of like the inside about who you are and whatnot.
Well, I always knew that I wanted to be a news anchor, so I'm blessed to be
like that movie, right? What was that movie where they?
Which to Die For? No, I didn't.
Maybe that was. I'm sorry.
I love that movie though. Yeah, so I was a work hard, play hard person through it. So even though I was using, I was still able to have some success. Ultimately, though, I was really shy as a kid, and I was really bullied, and I, internalized my emotions on that of not being liked, and I just pretended everything, was okay, and I was like, success is the best revenge, and that's why I was like living in the TV studio on the side. And then when I was 15 years old, I discovered alcohol, and that just brought me out of my shell. I became this like funny person who suddenly had all these party friends, and it numbed out that feeling of not being liked, and I would be like, F them, I don't care about them, which of course deep down I did. I didn't know why I didn't fit in, and now I know they were just jealous, but as a kid, I didn't have the confidence to stick up to the bullies, which now I know you have to do. And I was, turn the other cheek. My parents took me to Presbyterian church every single Sunday. So then I just, there was no such thing as having one drink for me. It was I'd be puking or passing out or crying or just leaving the scene, always causing drama. And then quickly on, drugs came into the mix. So I moved out to LA when I was 19. I did blow every single day. Got straight A's though. And then, tons of ecstasy. And I tried for a 9-month period to not drink because I had gotten a job hosting the World Poker Tour, and the very first night, I was out and ran into the crew members 4 a.m, and I was passed out in a plate of spaghetti, and my dress was falling off, and they told on me, and the head person called my agent and said, do we have a problem here? So that freaked me out. So I did attempt for 9 months to not drink, and I drank in Paris at the 2-month mark, but never told anyone. So the point of the reason I mention that is because I know what it's like after 2 months and after 9 months to get back to drinking again. And there's no such thing as having one for me. It's just balls to the wall. And then I want cocaine. And so I moved to New York City in 2007 to work for Fox News Channel. And that's when pills came into the mix.
And you're about 26, I think I saw from your bio too at that time.
Yeah. So I was the youngest person to be hired on air at Fox News Channel. I was 26. And in New York, the psychiatrists, they give you whatever pills you want because you pay them in cash. So I had my Ambien, I had my Adderall, I had my Xanax, and I would drink all the time. And then I realized that I would want to make sure I had my cocaine lined up because I knew the second I would be drinking, I'd be wanting blow. So I was just a hot mess.
You actually had it all organized and planned out?
I did. And I remember thinking this is a problem that I want a hard drug. Just I know I'm going to want it when I start drinking, so I better make sure I line it up.
Are you type A type of personality then?
I think no, I feel I'm really laid back, but I feel for the job that I do, I have to be somewhat type A. I get shit done because I have deadlines all the time and just got to do it.
Yeah.
So, but I think I'm pretty laid back though. So maybe I'm a mix of both. But anyways, the bottom line for me or my bottom, when everything went down, a couple things happened. Heath Ledger and DJM had just died. And so I was like, oh, I have that stuff in my system too. I'm either going to die in my sleep or I'm going to get in trouble with the law buying coke from some shady dealer.
Right.
And I saw a video of myself, we're in a blackout, and I was just appalled. And then I ended up, like in Florida, Labor Day weekend of 2009, I had 7 friends surrounding my bed, and they had, like, I had passed out on the floor the night before. They couldn't wake me up. They were really concerned. And so they gave me an impromptu intervention, and I knew in that moment that I deserved more for my life, and that it was kind of like things
there were 7 of them, but it was impromptu, but there was 7 of them there.
Yeah, well, because we had gone for Labor Day weekend. My parents have a house in Florida, so we had my now ex-husband and I had 3 other couples there. So he came up first and was like, because my Ambien addiction had like gotten out of control. I was taking Ambien and like going out to the club and just ordering all these things online, having no recollection of it. And so he was like, you need to do inpatient or we're getting a divorce. And I was like, fuck yeah. And then he went downstairs and brought the rest of them up, and they just talked me into it. And so I had enough brain cells in that hungover moment to say, okay, like, I have more to offer this world. Like, I'm going to do this. I know it'll be the best thing that I can do for myself. And so I went to 28 days of rehab. And
Florida or LA, or where'd you go?
No, I went back. I wanted to be as close to work as possible because I didn't want to miss as much work, but they were cool with me going. And it was Silver Hill in New Canaan, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
And I sat in the front of the class. I took notes. I was like, I'm doing this because it costs so much money to go here. And I did what they told me when I came out. I did 3 months of outpatient, the 90 meetings in 90 days, and I got, a sponsor and worked the steps. And then, like 8 months.
How did that go?
I mean, I love it. Like, I realized that, like, we all have the same story pretty much, even though our bottoms might be different. It's all the same undertones, and I think everyone should do the 12 steps. I'm like a huge advocate for that.
It's not even actually just for I think it's just good mental health too, to make amends to people and things like that.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like it's kind of almost a religion, because whether you're doing meditation and yoga in the Buddha world, or whether you're Catholic or in AA, like it's all the same undertones, like, be accountable for your actions, be compassionate to other people. It's not just about you. Have faith in something else.
So what is the number one thing, actually, that you think is probably like the cornerstone of your recovery? Is it meditation? Is it faith? Is it making a man? What would you say then? Like, what do you find like the thing that you anchor yourself to?
For me, it's meditation, but I didn't do that for the first 5 years of my sobriety. And I just kind of like, the thing for me is like that I've worked full time. I've had 2 kids, because when I was 8 months sober, that's when I found out I was pregnant with my son. And then I had my son, and like 5 months later, I was like accidentally pregnant again with my daughter. So early on, like, I credit my kids for really like keeping me busy. So I haven't been able to be like a meeting everyday person. But then, like, I got into yoga, and I, listened to my church radio, K-Love, and I feel like I just draw from a lot of different things to stay balanced. I've been journaling a lot lately, where I'll set the timer for 20 minutes and I'll just like write, because that's how I'm trying to solve my headache issue too, which I have chronic pain. So
yeah, I wanted to ask about that. Actually, let me kind of bring that out and highlight that a little bit, because I remember I found that out after you came in about a year ago for your in-studio interview, and I think you were in the hospital or something like that, and you texted me, or I read, or something like that, I don't know what it was, that you have had, I'll say, severe migraines like every day. I mean, I had a headache this morning. Sometimes I wake up with them. It's odd, not a hangover, but, I'm down 3 Excedrin, and I'm usually pretty good, but I can't imagine having, so tell everybody about that, because that sucks. Like, that's really, like, I think anybody would go, that sucks.
Well, and this is the second time in my life I've gone through this. So when I was 20, 21, and 22, I had this same thing where I feel like I have a spike in my head, like someone is twisting my inner brain, and I've done the whole gamut of MRI, holistic, like acupuncture. I mean, just every pill, everything. I mean, I have a journal that's like, I show every new doctor, and they're like, wow, you really have tried everything. And they ended up going away when I moved out of California. And then August of 2017, they came back one day, and it just has never let up. Every waking moment, I have this feeling, and it's just a matter of, is it at a 1, 2, 3 where my life's a little bit more manageable, or is it like a 10 where I'll be anchoring the news? Like, I've had to leave the news because, like, I feel like I'm having a stroke. And
you're in the middle of a newscast, and you have a 10.
Yeah,
and I mean, I've only had a few migraines.
One time I had to call the paramedics, like, during the B block of the show.
You're, like, on air, and they got to...
Yeah, because like, I slur, like, I can't read right. Like, it's, like, blurry. My whole face is numb. Like, I was gasping for air. My co-anchor thought I was having a heart attack. It was scary, but now, like, I know that... I mean, I know everything checks out fine. So that's why I'm doing a lot of, like, if you've heard of Dr. Sarno, where it's like the mind-body prescription and trying to talk to your subconscious. But I got to tell you, like, I've been doing that for a while too, and I really believe it, and it's still not helping. So I don't know, but I'm sober.
Well, God, man,
it really, I mean, there are some days where I'm like in bed all day crying, and I'm like having a pity party for myself, and I'm like, why me? I want to smash my car into a tree. And then I just have to go through the whole, like, gratitude thing, like, and that's when I meditate.
Are there things that you can do if it's really bad to lessen it?
I have a ice head, like, head wrap. Taking a shower will help. Sometimes, like, I have, like, nausea medicine that sometimes helps a little bit, but just sleep. I like to just sleep so that I don't have to be present, because it goes away when I sleep.
I remember seeing you went into the doctor or something. I'm thinking it was like August, and somewhere around there or something. There was something you're doing, and it was some kind of hopeful kind of thing. And I was really thinking, like, God, I hope this works. So I'm really sorry that it hasn't.
I mean, I've tried everything. There's kind of like nothing. And then what you learn is that all the doctors are kind of like against each other's things, like. The head neurologist at UCLA was like, oh, food has nothing to do with it. And then there's people that are like, oh, well, this diet, I've tried every diet, like, oh, that'll help. I mean, I just am like some weird exception, and I just have to have faith.
Maybe you can move out of LA at some point. If it got better moving out of LA, maybe you move out of LA some point.
I know, but my kids are here, so.
You would, like, take your kids with you, maybe? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm divorced, so that's why.
You can't really do that. Yeah, that's kind of tough.
But yeah, I just have to say, like, and that's how people can think with the coronavirus too. Like, this too shall pass. I just have to have faith that it will.
Yeah, I know that it will. I was going to say, I don't want to go back there, but I will. Like, I just wonder, like, what's it going to be like after? I guess it'll be like whatever it's like, I suppose. I mean, I'll tell you, I don't want to have anybody make me get a freaking vaccination. That shit's not happening for me. I'm sorry. It's just not gonna. You're not going to track me either. So I've heard all of the extreme. It sounded like it would be extreme stuff, except for I've heard people like them actually talking about it from the White House and stuff. It's really, I guess it'll be what it's going to be. You know, we'll just deal with it however it's going to be. So let me transition kind of off of that into your book. So you've got a book, a relatively new book, Tonight at 10, Kicking Booze and Breaking News. Love the name. So what's up with that? What was the inspiration? And actually, why do you kind of come out? Because you've got a podcast. We'll talk about that too. But, like, why do you do this? Like, what's up? I mean, you are able to fulfill yourself, like, to an audience. Is it a helpful thing? Is it therapy for you? Like, what is the deal? You know, I know kind of why I do it, but maybe it's the same, you know.
So I didn't put it out there on my social media that I was sober until I had 6 years. And, I mean, people in my life knew that I was in recovery, but I felt like, okay, now's a good time. I have enough like credibility, because I feel like if you do a disservice if you put it out there too early. So once I put it out there, then I've just been flooded with people. I mean, it's pretty much 99% positive that I'm out about it, and everybody wants to know what the story was and what tips they have and how can they help their son and all that. And so that's kind of where the idea for the book came, because I was like, I just need like one thing to be able to send people back, like, here, it's all here. My story, my advice, how do you do it, blah, 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 blah. And I was kind of just like, I kept getting encouraged by people like, when's the book coming out? When's the book coming out? So after a 2-year thing, the book came out. I wanted it to I kind of like meditated on it for it being when I had 10 years sober again, like to have enough credibility on the matter. And I didn't want it to be like so many addiction books out there that it's like, here's all the crazy shit I did, and then I went to rehab, and then I got sober at the end. And you're like, well, wait, are you still sober? And then what? Like, so many books that I read, the sobriety part is like maybe the last chapter, if that, or the last sentence or something. You're like, well, so, I mean, I get it. People can relate to that, but like, I wanted it to be more of a how-to. Initially, I was going to call it like how to do shit sober.
I like that. I like that name. That's a pretty cool name. Or is it? Or you think you're gonna have more books?
Honestly, the book process was like, for me, it was the biggest disaster ever. I had like every.
Did you write the whole thing, or did you co-write it?
Well, so I did it all wrong. Like, if I would have known that only 2 out of 10,000 book proposals get picked up, I never would have spent $10,000 writing a proposal with someone. And I still wrote it, but like because in the proposal you have to have 2 chapters. So that was like where the expensive part came in, because that was like collaborative writing. But in a sense, I'm almost like, well, like, why did I even do that? Like, I felt like taken advantage of in a sense, because like I could have just written my story. No, I mean, I was like conned, extorted. Like, it was a night. I got in trouble at work. Like, I mean, so many things went wrong. But I moved past that now. Like, I'm glad the book's out. Oh, and by the way, like, you don't write a book for money, which that wasn't the intention. The intention was to help people. And for those people that are like, why do you put it out there that you're sober? Like, we get it. Like, why do you wear all these sober T-shirts? And, you know, you're fine now. So I'm like, have you ever heard of wanting to help someone? Like, I think there comes a time where you're like, all right, I'm good on, like, I've done work on myself. Like, what's the purpose of life? Like, your purpose is to help people. So if this is how I can help people, then I'm going to do it that way.
Do you get, so it sounds like you get from people like, okay, yeah, we get it. Like, you don't need it. Like, it's just dumb. Like, keep it
in our face.
But I'm wondering about like some of the AA Nazis, I would say, like old timers, because in the magazine they're like, what happened to anonymity?
Right.
Or that kind of thing. Do you get that too?
Well, in the book, I really don't even talk about anything in AA. I don't know. It's like I don't think that the only way you can get sober these days is in a church basement somewhere.
No.
And the fact that I have the podcast and that I am open about it, like, a lot of people are never going to step foot into a rehab or an AA room, so they can get the resources online. And also, like I said earlier, like, I go to meetings like when I can, and like it's church for me, or like I feel good after them, but it's not the only thing that keeps me sober. Like, meditating for 20 minutes every day, I think, is my biggest tool that keeps me sober.
What are your thoughts on Cbd and pot and all that?
Well, I was always like extremely allergic to marijuana, like send me to the mental institution. So I tried like with just like some lotions and like in coffee and things like CBD for my headaches, but it didn't do anything for me. Like, it didn't help. But I know that's like a controversial thing, because the thought.
What do you think about like legalizing it and all that? And like, there's really strong, like, you're younger than me by a good amount, but like, you know, like the weed that we had when I was a teenager or like in my early 20s, like it's 100 times stronger than it is now it's like 100 times stronger than it was then. Like, what do you feel like in terms of, I mean, it's out there now. I guess it's one of those things that you just accept it.
Like it affected me so crazy that I don't know how anyone could function or drive or do anything. Like, it was literally the most miserable experience every single time, like the 10 times I've tried it in every different form. Like I go insane. And so, I don't get it. I don't get what pot is like for normal people to relax.
I find it really weird that people can actually use it. So when I have smoked pot in the past, way back, I was telling somebody the other day, I go, somebody that actually smokes it a lot, smokes it daily, and I said, I'm not like against it, like it's the evil or anything like. I'm not. I really, honestly, the recovery today is very abstinence, fairly 12-step. But I also like to say we really don't care how somebody gets sober. If it's working for you and you're happy,
right?
I don't care. And then other people are like, well, if you're smoking weed, you're not. Again, I really, if you're functional and you're happy and you've got good relationships, for me at least where I am right now, I'm kind of good with it. But I was saying, like, I would smoke a half a joint and I would be so high, like I was such a lightweight, I couldn't function. Like, I don't think it's a violent drug. I mean, all I wanted to do was eat ice cream and watch TV and not be so stoned. So
right. Well, it's like, I mean, that's the whole thing with addiction. Like, if you're shopping or gambling or exercising, if you're addicted to those things, then it's making your life unmanageable. I do kind of think that, like, when I say I'm sober, that means I'm off every single mind-altering drug. Like, there's a gift in it to be 100% present. So anything, if I was taking sleeping pills, like, I wouldn't be sober. I mean, not only because that.
You smoke?
What?
You smoke?
Cigarettes? Well, no. When I was like, oh, everyone's smoking. Maybe I should take this up. And then I'm like, no, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But the only reason I never smoked was because the times that I would try it, I would get crazy nauseous.
Yeah.
And one time, because I was like, oh, don't knock until you try it. One time I dipped with my chemistry group when I was there was a bunch of juniors and I was a senior, and they came to my house, they're like, come study with us, and they were all dipping, so I was like, don't knock until you try it. And
where did you grow up?
In Philly.
And they were dipping in Philly. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah, so I dipped, and I don't know, 20 minutes later, I went white as a ghost and threw up everywhere, and it was, yeah.
So let me ask you, do you plan on being like Barbara Walters and being a news person for 50 years, or what's up in the future for you? What are you going to do?
I think I'm trying to figure that out.
I mean, you've been doing it for a while. How long is it? Yeah. I mean, how long have you been doing professionally since how old are you again? You'll be 40, you said?
Yes, I'll be 40, April 22nd.
That's okay.
I think, for so much of my career, I was always like, what's the next job? What's the next step? And I think with meditating, I've really just learned to be in the moment and be grateful for what I have, and just know that, I can trust the universe to bring me opportunities that I'm supposed to be doing. I've seen that happen where things have come my way that, I didn't even have to lift a finger, and things just lined up for me. Because I just do the work and try to give. I mean, I'm constantly putting out karma, good karma, I think, and that's like the podcast. I do that on my days off. I don't get paid, and it's a pain in the ass to try to reach out to celebrities, and not everyone wants to do it. And
tell me about it.
Then getting everybody's schedules and.
Your podcast, where do you do that at? Is it also on Zoom type of a thing, or where do you do it?
It's no.
So I saw Darren. I saw my Darren Prince.
Oh yeah.
In the magazine. I consider Darren a friend. I saw him.
I shoot it at a studio, and then KTLA lets me air the audio through their format. So it has
cool.
And then they let me, on my weekend show, they let me do a soundbite from the video interview, and I tease it to our audience.
I got to say, I don't know whether it's the news industry itself, but I'm hearing you say like, here you're in New York and you're a Fox News gal and you're going to go to rehab for 20. I mean, I know that we have laws and things like that. It's not like you get fired, but it just sounds like you've got, maybe it's in that industry or where you're out with KTLA, but between migraines and kids and things like that in your podcast, it sounds like they're really, like in that career, they're pretty supportive of you.
Yeah, I think that you control the message too, and I talk about that in the book. Like, should you come out to like someone when should you tell someone you're dating, and when should you tell your, I have a chapter on work or career, sober and sober dating, and like, you tell your own story about yourself. So I feel like if you believe it and you're all positive and talking good about it, then you're just going to get people who support you. And maybe people talk behind my back, but like, I don't focus on them. I don't care. Like, I do know that as sober people, we hold mirrors up unintentionally to people with problems. So they see their problems when they see that we like have our shit together. But my whole thing is like, I don't preach, I don't judge, I don't try to convert anyone, I don't care what anyone else does, but I'm a light, like I just want to, like I try to show on my Instagram that, hey, look at all this fun I'm having and I'm not using drugs or alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, it comes back to the whole thing about changing the stigma, right? And so that's kind of how we would respond to people that would say, what about anonymity and stuff? It's like, yeah, it's not like church basement anymore, man. Like, it's out there. Like, any neighborhood you go to, there's going to be heroin. There's going to be anything you can imagine. So I really get that.
We don't out other people. Like, I totally believe in the anonymity
totally.
For that.
Absolutely.
And I try to speak very vaguely about it. Like, I don't post on my Instagram like, hey, I took my 10-year cake tonight. Like, or I don't do any of that. Like, I just make it like, hey, I'm sober. Like,
in terms of dating and stuff like that, is your fiance, is he in the program too, or is he?
Yes, I was speaking at a meeting and he was there, and he has 18 years sober, and cool. It's so nice being in a sober relationship. But I've also dated people who are like, they don't drink just for whatever reason, or they're just like,
my wife doesn't get it at all, actually. She has never, she'll have a couple of glasses of wine. She doesn't, and that's it. She doesn't.
She's a normie. Right.
It's not like it's every day or something like that, but we'll go out. She'll have a couple of glasses of wine. That's it. There's nothing else. It's really, and she tells me, like, I want to understand, but I just don't get it. I don't.
Well, does she want you to be drinking with her?
It's come up, I would say, probably sometime. I mean, like, she'll say, like, we could go do wine tasting. And for me, this is just, again, for me, I'm like, I could go. Like, you actually don't drink it, you spit it out. Didn't like the, so, but we've never done that. So, yeah, I would say sometime, and that's probably indicative, too, of, like, not really getting it. Like, like, so, I don't know.
Yeah, I dated people who would, like, oh, come on, just taste it.
It's not shaming necessarily, but I think there really is a little bit of like, in her mind, like, regret that, like, we can't do that. I'm like, I'm totally fine to do that. I wouldn't have a problem at all, or I'll drink soda water. I don't care. I mean, it makes zero difference to me, at all. So
remind me how much time you have.
I lose count because it was the spring of 1994. So 20-something years, I guess. What is that? 04, 14, 26 years I've got. That's kind of a while.
Let me ask you something, because I just had one last night, a horrible drug dream. Like, and this was the most real one that I had. Do you get them still?
So, this might sound really bad. I don't get dreams, but sometimes, and again, maybe somebody will throw rocks at me, and I'm not a therapist. I don't have it all figured out, but I mean, I do have 26 years. That's kind of a while. But somebody was telling me that their kid was doing mushrooms, and they were a little bit concerned about it. But this person's an older person in there, but they're really hip and cool. And I said, I had a lot of fun actually when I took mushrooms. I got to say, I mean, like, there was some good, I think you forget all the bad things. Like actually one time I did, was passed out on the floor thinking I was going to die. I mean, you omit the bad parts, but in my mind I'm thinking, oh yeah, bonfires and drinking beers and listening to, Led Zeppelin out in the forest and tripping and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I think also my life is set up. I'm not in college anymore. It's not like I'm around college kids that want to go out in the forest and, but I don't have dreams. I don't think I have dreams. Do you?
Yeah, I usually get them, it seems, right before I'm about to speak at a meeting or do some sort of thing like this. It's funny. I mean, it's like I wake up. I like having them because I wake up and I'm so grateful. I'm like, oh my God, that was just a dream. Oh, like I'm still sober. Yay.
Yeah.
I'd say every few months I have a using dream.
So what is it? So tell me about your podcast real quick. Let's give it out a shout out. Where do people find it?
They can find the video version online and the audio.
What's it called again? It's called Keeping It Friel, right? Keeping
It Friel, conversations on recovery, and I've had some celebrities on there. It's all people that have like an audience or have been on TV or something.
Let me ask you this real quick. I want to come back and have you highlight it some more and spotlight it, but so I don't forget. Like, what is up with some celebrities don't want to come out and share? Like, I really. I mean, you're a celebrity. It may, you might not be the tippy top of a movie or sports, but what is up with that? I don't understand that. Or wanting like, I won't out the person, but somebody that's very, very famous, pillar of society, not a movie star. Actually, it was a governmental person, I'll say, wanted like $50,000. It's like, what? Like, we don't pay people to come. I mean, seriously? What's up with that?
Interviewed?
Yeah. Like, yeah, we charge like $50,000 for like, and I'm like, well, it's not an appearance. It would just be an interview. Like, I was really offended.
I don't know. I mean, I've approached celebrities and asked them, and they've been like weird about it. And I was like, oh, sorry, I just know you're out. Like, it's like that they're out about it. Like, you Google their name and sober, so you think that they're okay with talking about it. And it's like, oh, why not? And I was quoted by someone, I don't want to be the poster child for sobriety.
I think that's what it is. I think that I think that it actually comes down to the PR person saying you don't want to, for whatever reason. I don't know. I think it's odd. I think that the cornerstone, I think, of sobriety, there's two things that I really like about it. Is number one is honesty, and then the other stuff is like being of service to other people, which is why I do this. Is like, I find it therapeutic to be helpful and to be transparent and truthful, and then also that maybe there's somebody else that can listen that hears something from any interview that we do that says that I can relate to that. So
for sure.
Yeah, cool. So tell me again the podcast, tell me the book, tell me your website, tell me the whole bit.
So the book is Tonight at 10, Kicking Booze and Breaking News, available on Amazon and hopefully Audible. It's supposed to be done in January, but I don't know what keeps the hold up. And then Keeping It Friel, Conversations on Recovery. You can find it on KTLA.com or just on like wherever you download your podcasts.
Really, really cool. And what's your social?
At Courtney Friel on all of them.
Okay, at Courtney Friel on all of them. Well, hey, I really appreciate you jumping on. Are you on the news tonight?
I am reporting again tomorrow. Tomorrow's my Friday night.
Cool. All right.
I work today.
Okay. Well, we'll have all the links to all of it, all in this feature here, your book, the whole 9 yards, and it's great to connect with you. I'm sorry that we didn't meet in person before. Now everybody, of course, is doing Zoom, so it's really cool to connect here. And just thanks for everything you're doing.
Oh, you're welcome. And feel free. You can reach out on my Instagram. I check the messages. So, although
I did see I saw one with it.
Yes, read my book.
I was stalking it a little bit before the interview. I saw one with Lori Dew. We love Lori, so it looks like you guys stay connected. These some of your old Fox homies there.
Yeah.
Good deal. Well, thanks again.
Thank you so much, Rob. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Okay, take care. Hang on one sec.